All right, so welcome to Rob Schmidt tonight. I'm Carl Higbie in for the better-looking Rob. He'll be back, don't worry about it. But there are a massive number of structural issues within the Republican Party, and it comes down to leadership. Case in point, look at who's in the White House right now. Joe Biden. He was perhaps the worst candidate in modern history. The guy hid in the basement for most of his candidacy. Is unbelievable. And now he holds the White House over Trump. I mean, look, sure, you can blame some of this on the Trump campaign, but the RNC royally botched their involvement. I mean, this happened in state races, too, that they were involved in. Fast forward to midterms, and potentially the easiest environment for Republicans to win, going back to Jimmy Carter. Inflation, record illegal border crossings, leaving $80 billion worth of military equipment behind for terrorists in Afghanistan, worst supply chain crisis of at least my lifetime. Democrats couldn't even manage to recoup the jobs lost in the pandemic. And somehow, despite all of this, in what should have probably become a 300-seat Republican Congress, Republicans barely eked out a less than 10-seat majority and somehow lost a seat in the Senate. How does this happen? It happened because the people running the party have no idea what they're doing. There, I said it. They're more interested in living the lifestyle of the elite than actually getting results. Now, Ronna Romney McDaniel was picked by Trump to run the RNC in 2017. So to her credit, McDaniel has raised more than $1 billion during her tenure. But fundraising isn't everything. I mean, if you raise all the money in the world, but it won't matter if you just light it on fire or pay it out to your consultant buddies. But I repeat myself, because that's exactly what the RNC has been doing. Now, according to FEC filings, since 2017, the RNC has spent $3.1 million on private jet services, okay? $1.3 million on limo services, $17.1 million on donor mementos, like little squishy, stress balls, $750,000 on floral arrangements, $80,000 on booze, and a myriad of other things. From the party that is supposed to be fiscally conservative. What part about that is fiscally conservative? I mean, riddle me this, Batman. How many people do you think that have donated to the RNC have ever flown on a private jet? 1%? I mean, obviously some of the biggest donors have their own, but all those emails that Google suppressed asking people for money, do you think the recipients of those emails who donate $1, $2, $5 at a time, do you think they fly on private jets or throw parties with $80,000 worth of liquor? Of course not. Why should people that are raising money under the guise of fiscal responsibility, the stewards of donated money, be treated with such luxury? Ronna, fly coach, drink Coors Light, I don't know, take an Uber, like the rest of us. If a nonprofit or charitable organization did any of this, they would lose their 501c3 status immediately. But in politics, no problem at all. Ronna hasn't stepped down. She should over this. These lavish spending, it happens on both sides, let's be honest, but Democrats don't care about fiscal responsibility, so it's less of an issue with their donors. Case in point, Maxine Waters and her daughter worked out a lovely little scheme here. Since 2003, Maxine Waters has paid her daughter more than $1 million for a mailer operation. This is all public record, folks, so you can go to the FEC filings. This is not a secret. No one seems to care on the left. How much you want to bet Maxine Waters gets a super nice, expensive Christmas present every year from her daughter's firm? Just saying. But if that's how Democrats want to spend their money, that's fine with me. At least it's consistent with their values or lack thereof. My biggest problem here is, and this comes, folks, with this through is a lot of money comes from folks who are generally under the belief that they are investing in a party that will fight for the causes that they hold near and dear, fiscal conservatism being at the top of it. If my money is spent on flowers or a private jet for a party, I'm not okay with that, especially while on a 3-cycle losing streak. Perhaps people saw this, and that's why Democrat candidates significantly outraised Republicans in this cycle, because donors were tired of this lavish spending. You don't get to lose a Senate seat and still throw a nice party. These are fundamental flaws in the Republican Party, and it really gets under my skin. I mean, it didn't begin with Ronna McDaniel, but she didn't stop it either. And to be honest, if Republicans had taken 50 seats in the House and 3 to 5 in the Senate, this probably wouldn't even be a story. Case in point, in 2014, Eric Cantor, he was the highest ranking Republican in the House. He lost his primary to a Tea Party candidate. Now, this is the crazy thing. Cantor's campaign spent more on steak dinners than his opponent spent on his entire campaign, who beat him. Cantor lost that. Now, Cantor had done this for years. Had he kept winning, it probably wouldn't even been an issue. But when he lost, people were like, wait a darn minute, what is my money going to here? Folks, I ran for Congress. I've seen how these systems work or don't work. I raised just under $100,000 before losing my primary. This was in 2014. I didn't know a lot about what I was doing, but I did know that the money I raised needed to be spent wisely. As soon as I broke the $75,000 threshold, I had consultants from every corner of the state, some of which had never won a race in their entire career, hit me up for $5,000, $10,000 a month retainers. I asked them, I said, well, what would I get for this? What's your deliverable? None of them could tell me what they were going to deliver. 10 grand for an advice from someone who's never even been in the arena? Pass. Hard pass. Jeb. Oh, Jeb. His team spent more than 125 million bones on political consultants. Okay, I mean, it would have been cheaper for him to hand $1,000 or $2,000 to every single person that voted for him. It would have been cheaper. 125 million bucks paid to a group of consultants. This is yours and my hard-earned money that we donated. So $125 million given to consultants that came up with the idea to tell an intern to slap an exclamation point at the end of his name. These same people who made that decision are the ones who messed up 2020 and 2022. And most of them will remain nameless for years at the behest of these consultants. Republicans have climbed in the political ring and looked around. Hey, what are the rules? And we turn around, we get hit in the face with a proverbial chain by the Democrats. They do better get out the vote. They use the pop culture. Nope, we don't do any of that. Republicans have been advised by the same locusts of consultants that have refused to play the game under the same laws as the Democrats because they're more worried about spending $17.1 million on donor mementos. That's why we lose elections. Think about it. Democrats do everything right. I mean, their system is near flawless. They have the media, they have Hollywood, an entire party comprised of activists. That's what Democrats are now. They're activists. Republicans spend $125 million to put an exclamation point at the end of a guy's name, and our elections are still a 50-50 proposition. How little do we have to do correctly as Republicans on the campaign trail to ensure that a Democrat doesn't win another election for the next 50 years? Answer that question, the future of America is bright. Keep doing what we are doing, and Biden may actually get a second term.